Over the days, Ikenna and Adana met often at the stream. They would talk and laugh, and Adana felt a bond growing between them. Ikenna was kind and understanding. He didn't pry into her past. He just enjoyed her company and made her feel valued. One day, Ikenna told Adana, "I care about you, Adana. You are a wonderful person, and I want to be with you." Adana was surprised. She felt a mix of emotions, hope, fear, and a bit of happiness. She hesitated, remembering the curse and her past heartbreaks, but Ikenna's sincerity touched her heart. Adana finally said, "I like you too, Ikenna, but I have been through a lot. Are you sure you want to be with me?" Ikenna nodded with a smile. "I am sure, Adana. Let's make a life together." And so they became close. Ikenna treated Adana with respect and care, and she found herself growing fond of him. They spent time together, and their bond deepened. It wasn't long before Ikenna proposed to Adana. He wanted to make her his wife and share a happy life with her. With joy in her heart, Adana accepted his proposal. They began to plan their wedding, dreaming of a future together filled with love and happiness. For the first time in a long while, Adana felt a true sense of hope. She believed that with Ikenna, she could finally find the peace and love she had been searching for. The village buzzed with excitement for the upcoming wedding, and Adana felt a warm glow of happiness, hoping this would be the start of a beautiful new chapter in her life. The day of Adana and Ikenna's wedding arrived, and the village of Omunu was filled with excitement. Everyone gathered in the village square, decorated with colorful flowers and bright banners. The villagers danced, sang, and celebrated, happy to see Adana and Ikenna together. The air was filled with joy and laughter as they exchanged vows under the warm sun. Adana looked radiant in her beautiful dress, and Ikenna couldn't stop smiling. They promised to love and cherish each other, surrounded by the cheers and blessings of the villagers. It was a perfect day, and everyone felt the love and happiness in the air. As night fell, the couple retired to their new home, ready to start their life together. But as they prepared to rest, something strange happened. Adana began to feel uneasy. Her body felt different, and a cold shiver ran down her spine. She looked at Ikenna with worry in her eyes. Suddenly, Adana's body started to change. Her legs fused together, her skin turned scaly, and before they knew it, she transformed into a giant python. Ikenna's eyes widened in shock and terror. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. Adana, now a huge snake, looked at him with sad eyes. Overcome with fear, Ikenna screamed and ran out of the house. He stumbled through the village, shouting for help. The villagers, hearing his cries, quickly gathered around their home. They saw Ikenna, pale and shaken, pointing towards the house. The villagers cautiously approached, and there, slithering out of the doorway, was the giant python. They gasped and backed away, murmuring in fear and confusion. They had never seen anything like it. Some of the elders whispered, "Is this the curse we've heard about?" The joyous wedding had turned into a night of fear and confusion. The villagers didn't know what to do. They were scared of the giant snake, but also remembered the kind Adana they knew. The village square, which had been filled with laughter and music just hours before, now stood silent, with everyone watching in disbelief. The village elders decided to call for the oracle, hoping for answers and a solution to this shocking event. The village was in a state of shock and confusion after the unexpected events of the wedding night. The elders quickly gathered and decided to call for the oracle, hoping to understand what had happened. The villagers gathered in the village square, whispering and wondering about Adana and the giant python she had become. The oracle arrived, a wise figure who had guided the village through many mysteries. The elders and the villagers stood in a circle, waiting for answers. The oracle stepped forward and asked Adana to come forward. The giant python slowly slithered into the center, and with a deep sigh, Adana spoke, her voice filled with sorrow. "I am Adana, she began. "I come from a family in the forest. I am the only one who can take human form. My parents never wanted me to marry a human because they feared it would bring trouble. They tried to scare away anyone who got close to me, but I wanted a normal life, to find love and happiness like everyone else. So I severed ties with my family, but they cursed me, saying I would never find true happiness with a human." The villagers listened, their fear turning into sympathy. They had always known Adana as a kind and gentle person. The elders looked at the oracle, who nodded solemnly, acknowledging the truth in Adana's words. The oracle then turned to Ikenna. "Ikenna, do you have anything to say?" they asked, gently but firmly. Ikenna, still shaken and ashamed, stepped forward. He hesitated, but under the oracle's steady gaze, he finally spoke. "Yes, I have something to confess," he said, his voice trembling. "I was drawn to Adana because of her beauty and kindness, but I also had other intentions. I thought I could use her to gain wealth and power. I planned to take her money and leave her behind once I got what I wanted." A gasp went through the crowd. The villagers were shocked by Ikenna's confession. They had always seen him as a kind and caring man. The elders looked at him with disappointment, and the oracle sighed deeply. "You plan to betray Adana's trust and use her for your gain," the oracle said. "This is a grave wrongdoing. Adana wanted nothing more than a normal life and love, but you saw her as a means to an end." Ikenna hung his head in shame, unable to meet the eyes of the villagers. The truth had been revealed, and it was a painful revelation for everyone. The oracle and the elders now had to decide what would happen next. The villagers watched, their hearts heavy with the weight of the truth as they awaited the oracle's judgment. The oracle stood in the middle of the village square, deep in thought. After a long silence, the oracle finally spoke, their voice calm but firm. "Adana sought a life of peace and love, while Ikenna sought to use her for his gain," the oracle began. "In this world, actions have consequences. Ikenna, you cannot escape the responsibility of your intentions and actions." The oracle turned to Ikenna, who stood trembling. "You cannot be freed from Adana," the oracle declared. "You must stay with her as your wife. This is the consequence of your deceit and the lesson you must learn. You wanted to use her, but now you will live with the person you intended to betray. This is your punishment." A murmur went through the crowd. The villagers were shocked by the oracle's decision. They had not expected such a verdict. Many felt sympathy for Adana, who had suffered so much, and they were uncertain about Ikenna's fate. However, they respected the oracle's wisdom and knew that their judgment was fair and just. Ikenna looked devastated. He realized the gravity of his actions and the consequences he now faced. He glanced at Adana, who was still in her python form, her eyes filled with sadness and resignation. Ikenna knew he had no choice but to accept the oracle's decision. The oracle raised a hand to quiet the murmurs. "This union must now stand as a reminder of the importance of honesty, respect, and true intentions," the oracle said. "Ikenna and Adana will leave Almunu village together. They must face the challenges ahead as they try to find a new path, wherever that may lead." The villagers nodded, understanding the weight of the oracle's words. They knew that Ikenna's punishment was not just for his sake, but as a lesson for everyone about the consequences of deceit and the value of true love. With the oracle's verdict, the gathering came to a solemn end. The villagers began to disperse, whispering among themselves about the events of the day. Ikenna and Adana, bound by fate and the oracle's decree, prepared to leave the village. It was a difficult and uncertain path ahead, but they knew they had to face it together. The village of Almunu would remember this tale for a long time as a story of love, betrayal, and the search for redemption. The villagers watched as they departed, some with sympathy and others with curiosity. It was a somber farewell, knowing the two would face an uncertain future together. Ikenna and Adana walked towards the forest where Adana's family lived. As they entered the thick woods, the air felt different, more magical and mysterious. Ikenna was nervous, not knowing what to expect. Adana, still in her python form, led the way. They finally reached a hidden clearing where Adana's family resided. As they arrived, Adana's family members, each with their unique forms, emerged. Some had features of animals, while others appeared more ethereal and mystical. They watched silently as Adana and Ikenna approached. Ikenna, feeling the weight of his actions, stepped forward and bowed his head. "I am sorry for my intentions," he said, his voice sincere. "I wanted to use Adana for my own gain, but I have learned my lesson. I accept the oracle's judgment and ask for your forgiveness." Adana's parents, who had been worried about her, listened carefully. They could see the regret in Ikenna's eyes and the seriousness in his voice. After a moment of silence, Adana's mother spoke. "We see that you are truly sorry, Ikenna. We forgive you, but know that living here will not be easy. You must respect our ways and care for Adana." Ikenna nodded gratefully. "I understand and will do my best," he promised. With that, Adana's family accepted him into their world. They welcomed him not as a perfect person, but as someone willing to learn and grow. Ikenna had to adapt to a life very different from what he knew in the village. The creatures of the forest were kind and gentle, but they had their own ways and customs. Ikenna worked hard to fit in, learning about the magical world and the responsibilities that came with it. Adana, now free to be herself, sometimes stayed in her human form, while other times she was a python or another form entirely. Ikenna grew to understand and accept her in all her forms. They both found a new rhythm to their lives, far from the hustle and bustle of the village. As time passed, Ikenna learned to appreciate the beauty and peace of the forest. He became a part of Adana's family, helping them and finding a sense of belonging. The forest, with its mystical creatures and magical ways, became a new home where both Ikenna and Adana could build a life together, learning from their past and embracing their new beginning. Sharing their lives, Ikenna accepted his fate and made the best of his new life, finding moments of joy and peace. Adana, too, felt a sense of belonging and acceptance. She was with her family and had someone who chose to stay with her despite the challenges. Together, they found a new kind of happiness, different from what they had imagined, but fulfilling in its own way. They learned that love and acceptance could come in many forms, and they embraced the life they had, finding contentment in their new home in the magical forest.